Welcome back, JMC Power Sports. We're continuing. This is part 5 of the SL125. Previous shows, we actually got the bike to spark. Now we're on to the fuel portion, and right now we're going to the gas tank. So this thing hasn't run since probably 1980. So I don't know how good of a shot we can get in the gas tank, but pretty rusty. I don't think there's any real sediment in it, but an old trick I used to do a long time ago is I use warm water and toilet bowl cleaner. I don't know the exact ratio, I just kind of eyeball it, but that is a good way to treat rust. I'm just giving a good healthy squirt in the gas tank. And here's our warm water. See if I make a mess. Not too bad. Actually, this really isn't all that bad. I stick my hand in there. I can feel a little bit of surface rust, but not too bad. I'm going to give it another healthy squirt of the toilet bowl cleaner. Give this a close. So right now, I want to say we're probably about a half full. Maybe not quite half full. Give it a good shake. I'm curious just to see. Now this hasn't had any liquid or chemical in it for a long time. I'm curious to see what first shots, so to speak, out of our petcock's going to look like. So let's just do a quick preliminary check just to see how nasty it is. I think our petcock is completely hosed there. It's not even leaking out at all. So actually what we can do, let's do this. Just for grins, let's see how some of the liquid coming out looks. We can pour the whole thing back in. Oh. I was expecting there to be a lot of sediment and dark, nasty, whatever, but geez. Okay, not bad. I'm going to pour it all right back in. Boy, we're going a little. Oh. Okay, so I'm going to put this lid back on. Obviously, you want to be careful if you're not in a good ventilated area. You want to have a ventilated area. You want to wear gloves, protective equipment. You don't want to splash any of that acid on your hands or in your eyes. Like I said, safety glasses would be a good idea. Safe. So I'm actually gonna let this soak for a little bit, for a long bit. Maybe we'll let it sit overnight. A nice good shakeroo there. We'll let this sit off to the side right now. Okay. So while that is doing that, the next steps, I think, we have a brand new carburetor here that we can install. We also have a brand new petcock that can be installed in the gas tank once we have the gas tank all ready to go. But I think right for now, we do have some work to do on the handlebars, on the controls, and we do need to get into the headlight bucket here. So I guess, we could put the carburetor on, and we have a brand new throttle cable here as well. And why don't we do this? Why don't we start with the carburetor, get a new carburetor installed. We'll put the new throttle cable on, and then we'll lower the bike down some more, and we'll start working on the controls. Now, the wires for the controls for the switches actually go inside the handlebars. So what we're going to have to do in order to get the clutch perch and the levers on, we're actually going to have to pull the wires out, which is not a good thing because you can damage the wires, and we're going to have to mess with this big nest inside this headlight bucket. And I already tried this screw, and it's definitely already rusted up pretty good. So we're going to have some fun with that. But let's get on to the carburetor.
Alright, so we're going to be taking the carburetor off now. This we took off yesterday, so just be a couple. Slide that off to the side. Then we got another one over here. They're 10 millimeters.
This is the first time this carburetor's ever been off. Hard to tell, but it's been on there for a while. How's the threads? Are they pretty rusty, or they're not too bad?
Not too bad.
Yeah. We've already disconnected this rubber piece. Now this rubber piece is very fragile because it's rubber and it's sitting for a long time, so we got to be really careful that we just kind of slide this out of the way without disturbing it, because who knows if this is a difficult part to find. I'm not really sure. I guess if we do have an issue with this rubber piece, we can always put an aftermarket pod filter on the carburetor.
Does look like we're
have to give it a little tap with a dead blow hammer, something with a plastic face. Got both of the bolts out there. We have the models done. I'll give it a nice now hit the bottom of the bowl and try and go in this direction. Nice little tap from the other side too. Hung up on this side over. It's actually on your side. Like I said, guys, this might be the very first time this carburetor's ever been off this machine. It's hard to tell. Definitely been on here a long time.
There we go. It's pretty well sealed.
Looks like the first gasket we're gonna have to buy, huh? Not survive. Oh. Bottom there. Get a vent hose. Connect it on the car. Pinch those two wires together. Wire, yep. Get rid off of the vent hose. Covered. That's the thing with working on these old bikes is the rubber parts, like these, the fuel line, the vent lines, a lot of this stuff's going to have to be replaced with stuff because there's is old and cracked and dry rotted. You can see this is giving us a little bit of grief here trying to come off of there. There you go. Got one original carburetor here. So we're going to have to add this to our list. Gasket. Actually, I think we need two gaskets right here. There's one gasket. So you have this short little intake right here. So this will actually slide out further. But there's a gasket right here, and there's a gasket right there. There's definitely a gasket, or two gaskets, because there's a little spacer in between these two, it looks like. So we can get to that a little later. Or actually, right now is the time to get that off. So what we're going to want to do, get your hammer and start, give it a little tap on this side. Slide this right off. Now, important, especially with motorcycles with castings, you don't want to just shove a screwdriver in there. Now, that will be the easiest and quickest way to get it off. But you can also dent surfaces, and then you won't have a good seal. So it's hanging up right about in here. So give it a nice tap as I'm pushing on it. A little bit more. We're going to give it just a little bit more hammer. And being careful, guys, you got to be careful you're not going to get any gasket pieces to fall in the engine. Okay, so we have a spacer. Oh, this is a plastic spacer. Actually just cracked a little right here, but that will be okay. So I'm going to be a little extra careful taking this next piece off. Break it open by hand. That's not going to work. I'm going to grab a screwdriver real quick. Oh, nothing right here. Thank you. Here, there's actually a little spot for a screwdriver to fit in. Very, very careful not to break it. So, I can find one of these pretty easily. I will just order a new one, or the gasket will actually seal everything fine. You'll never even know. Or I will machine one out of some plastic. So this is a casting. This is metal. As you can see, yeah, these gaskets are shot. We could do a couple things. If we order these, it'll take, a week or whatever. Or maybe someone's got one in stock. Years ago, I used to be able to go up to the auto parts store, and I could walk up to the rack and just size up an old thermostat gasket for an engine. Nowadays, everyone wants a part number, and they want to know exactly what it's for, and they are worried about liability. And we actually might have some gasket material, and we might be able to just cut this out with a razor blade and a punch and punch out the holes. That might just be the best way instead of wasting money on a gasket, because what these are and what they do, this is regular run-of-the-mill gasket material. So we're going to have to do that before we put the new carburetor on. So we're not just going to slap it together tonight like we thought. But this is a nice sweet new carburetor. It actually comes with an O-ring seal here, which would go up against. See, the old one also has an O-ring. All right, so for right now, what we're going to do is we're going to put the carburetor on hold, and we're going to go through some of our parts inventory and see if we have some gasket material. But really, to move on with this project, things we're going to have anyways, we're going to have the throttle installed net to run it anyway and do a good job and do it right. So we're just going to switch gears, and we're going to get this lowered down a little bit. We're going to have to get this headlight bucket apart and get the wiring out of the bars. Since the bars are off, we should clean them up a little bit. They are rusty, so they're not really going to be salvaged perfect, but they'll shine up a little bit. And we'll kind of go from there. Okay, we're going to dig into this headlight now. This will be interesting. We've hit it numerous times with WD-40, but sometimes they just snap off and you got to re-drill and tap them out. Ooh. Going. No way. I've never had one this rusty, not break off. So if you could, we might just finish this off. Screwdriver. The light, oh yeah, this screw's kind of beat up, you can see. We'll get a new screw for that, it's all stripped out. Alright, here comes the fun part. The inside of a headlight. Very interesting. This is the part we've been waiting for. I'm actually going to disconnect the headlamp. This is old school, guys. This is how headlights were when I was a kid. This is actually, this whole thing is actually a bulb right here. Unplug that. So there's a, make sure we document this good on, get the light in it. So we got a green, and we got a white, and we got a blue. And this blue actually goes to a double blue. So guys, when you're taking these things apart, it's very important that you take real good photos of all the wiring and when you're taking things apart, because you might not remember a day away, 2 days away, 10 days away. See if we can a little better light on this. Okay, we have significantly better light out here now. We can get into this headlight bucket. Courtesy to our lighting assistant. Say hi to everybody. Alright, let's dig right in. So we're going to get into this mess of wires going on. But before I forget, our new carburetor that we ordered is actually smaller. Not good. The hole spacing looks correct. Really kind of disappointed with that. And you know, at the end of the day, it's probably the right thing to do would be to put the original carburetor back in and use all Honda stuff. So we're going to have to do a video on cleaning carburetor, and I'm going to have to make those gaskets or order the gaskets. We're going to have to figure that out. A little disappointed, but really, let's do it right. Let's get this thing fixed the right way. So I'm just going to try and maybe just tug at these wires just a little bit, try and see what we got going on in here. Now here's those two crazy red wires that we saw. Okay, so in the headlight bucket itself, these two red wires are going into, looks like a gray and a blue wire. Now maybe that's coming from the controls up in here. But from the last video, if you follow, these are the mystery wires that we don't really know what is going on. But obviously we have spark, and these wires have somehow bypassed the battery also, so that's interesting information. So I think what we're going to do for now is, now we have access to the inside of the headlight bucket. We've identified the wires that go to the headlight, it's the headlamp itself. And now I think what we should do is we should pull these bars off. So if we come around to the other side here, I think that's really the next best step. So I'm going to remove these controls right here. This is just a Phillips screw right here. Go on the opposite side. So in earlier videos, when I was talking about these controls actually being part of the ground, I really don't think that they were part of the ground. I guess it sounded good at the time, but definitely not part of the package here. So I'm going to set those screws down for now. I'm going to go over to the other side, and I'm going to pull these guys out. one side, one on the other. This is actually throttle side. And so these screws are right here. We're not going to lose them. Now the trick is getting the right wires pulled back through bars without damaging anything. So right here. Wow. Got ourselves into here. I wish there was a better way to go about this. And I can show you the reasons why. I'm trying to get over these wires. In order to get over the wires, I actually need to put the clutch perch, the brake perch, over the wires. And I tried previously by heating up, just as a test, to heat up the perch with some heat to see if I could expand it so I could slide over these wires without pulling them out of the bars. That did not work out very well. So it seems the next best thing right now is to pull the wires out. I want to do this in such a way that I can put it back together the way I took it apart. And you can't always assume that same colored wires go back together because this thing obviously has been messed with. Yes. Alright, I guess just go for it. So we're pulling black wire out of this harness. Black. This. What else do we have in this? We have brown going into brown, another double set of wires, brown. I'm really trying to do a good job to document this, that way we can get this back together. Get the bars. Okay. This is a black wire with a white stripe. We're also disconnecting this. Crazy mess. Okay, we have a gray wire and a light blue wire, and this is where, wow, we have gray, red, then the light blue. Now we do know that these two mystery wires here that are going back battery in the ground, those go all the way to the back of the bike. Look at those. Crazy. Oh, they are what? Have to separate. I'm going to separate those right now. I don't want to, but it seems like the right thing to do. Separate this gray, red. Actually, because both of these are red, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a piece of tape on each. Let me see if I have some tape where I can easily mark those. So I have a little piece of tape here. I'm going to do my best to okay, green on green. That way when we go to put it back together, we can review the video if we need to. Go. And I had a pair of cutters here. I was going to separate those guys out. Yep. Go, those are separated now. Okay, we're getting closer. We have a yellow going into yellow. Pretty easy. We have a white going to white. Here we have kind of a greenish blue. Two going into one. Those guys out. We are almost unplugged everything. Okay. Okay, this is like a very light green going, so far everything is color coded, so I'm not quite as nervous as I was moments ago. Now we do need to document here. We have two browns. They do appear to be from separate, and these are probably turd signals or something. So I'm actually going to separate the brown out of here, if it will let me. Oh, there we go. Okay, I did separate the brown. All right, now as you can see, as I've unplugged stuff, boy, here's another one. This is a double black. I'm undoing here. So I actually need to undo the black here. And I'm going to put this plastic cover off to the side. We're going to need that later. And as you can see, now we have separate harnesses. One harness here, one harness here, another here, and this one actually has some orange that is also a double. So I'm going to pull an orange out of the bottom of this here, and the light green on its own. I don't want this one to be confused with the other light green that we had earlier. So I'm actually going to tape those also, I think, just because it's too easy a week from now or 2 weeks from now to put something back together and say, hey, where's that wire go? I tape up. I'm going to do the same on the wire across from it. Okay, wrap it around the wire. Okay, so that's everything in the headlight bucket. A little bit scary, because getting this back together and getting in the right order would be difficult. Wow. So we're going to take that headlight bucket off, because I just have a feeling it's just going to get in our way. 14, nope. 13. Oh. Taking care to look at our fastener inside there. It looks like we're going to have to hang on to it with a combination wrench. Got a 12 here. Let's see how it does. 12 fits pretty well. Now there's a circular washer behind that nut, so make sure that guy. That headlight bucket. Lost the washer. I'm going to jump around to the other side actually. And I'm going to loosen the other side. And here goes our headlight bucket coming off. Washer in between there. That one appears to be part of the housing itself, unless it's rusted in place. That very well could be. Try to see. So that comes off of there. So what I can do is I can actually screw this hardware back in place. There that goes. Alright, good deal. I'm going to carefully pull the headlight bucket out. And in doing so, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull one harness out at a time. Safest way without damaging wires. You want to be really careful that you don't strip any of the insulation, you don't nick any wires. Just take your time and do it right. Best way to do it. is just take your time, not try and do it all at once. A lot of wires here. Wow. This is quite the bundle. Wow. Okay, there's our headlight bucket. I think this is a good candidate for some paint. Definitely. We'll get this guy cleaned up. Okay, now we have our jungle of wires here. You need to be really careful. You know where they're going. So, I think in the next steps, if I unbolt the bars, let's do that. It's probably a 10. Come around to the side here, you can see. So there's 4 bolts on the triple trees here. Maybe bring the lights around the side here. Lift that up and come around the side. Get some better light on here. Yep, right around the side, right around here by there. There we go. Much better. There we go. There. Let's try everything. Okay. Alright. Go. Bars are coming off. And when is the last time these bolts have come off? Probably a long, long time. Actually, go use a socket. And move this bars down. Everything's pretty much finger tight. So our new lighting director, doing a good job, thank you. Alright, so bars coming off. Screws in our spots here. Good stuff. Very excited. It's really neat to be able to start putting some new parts on this bike to bring it back to life. One more bolt here, guys. Now this is going to be the tricky part, is pulling these wires out of the bars. It might actually be better to pull the bars off first. Carefully pull them off of the bike and then take the harness with it. So I'm just going to lift up a little bit. As you can see, there's a harness coming out of both sides here. Nice and easy. Nice and easy. There we go. With everything. I got one more wire. Stuck. We'll find that wire. Okay. And that wire right here, let's get this on camera here. There's a light blue wire going to a double. Okay. This is going to be the fun part. So we're going to lift our workspace up. And we're going to attempt to pull our wires back through the bars, which is going to be slightly sketchy. Now, if these were good bars, these bars are hosed. I don't know how good you can see on the camera, but these bars are bad. I got one bar going here, one bar going here. Now, one thing we could do is while we're getting this bike going, restoring it, we could put the bars back on, throw a little bit of heat to it, grab a big piece of pipe. We could bend them grater. Just to get us through, get us up and down the driveway, make sure everything's running. I think we're going to do that. In the meantime, I'm going to look for some better bars. So the trick is you would actually tape these wires to a piece of rope or string, kind of like when you're doing electrical work in a house. And as you're carefully fishing this wire back through the bars, out the hole that's in the bottom here, you would actually have a string that found its way up. So when you reinserted the wires, you would have your fish line come through, and you just pull on that line, and you wouldn't have to worry about trying to get it through. It's going to be a very, very interesting removal. Well guys, looking at these bars, man, these are really hosed. Not even. And just looking at these wires, I'm trying to fish these wires through. Just looking at it, I'm not certain that I'll ever be able to get these wires out without damaging them or breaking them. You look inside here, these controls aren't perfect. You know, I'm actually gonna take a look and see what options are for new aftermarket or close to OEM bars. Maybe chrome, or maybe we'll get some gray ones. Something that'll look nice. I have seen these controls, some aftermarket ones that are already wired up that are likely the same colors. Might be in our best interest to do that just for time. We want to do a good job putting this back together and get the headlight and taillight, get the turn signals working. But we want to do it reasonably and economically. This isn't going to be an exactly a super show bike, but it'll definitely be a nice machine to enjoy for a long time. So I think we're going to end the video here. Not too exciting of a video, but you did get to see the process of where we're at right now. Definitely on the next video, I think what we're going to do is we're going to get some fresh fuel in our gas tank. We're going to install our new petcock. Got a nice brand new one here with a nice new O-ring. And I am very disappointed with this carburetor. Not the greatest. Wasn't super expensive, but the right size. So really the best thing to do is we're gonna get this old carburetor cleaned up. We're gonna do the right thing and get this guy back in service. Like I said, we got a brand new throttle cable here, and we'll go from there. So again, thanks again for watching. Thank you for your subscribes, your likes, your shares, your comments. So I'll appreciate it if you grow the channel, and we'll catch you very soon. Thanks.